Welcome everyone, it's Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, and the websites by plebes. Drop us a like, subscribe. Today we've got a very special guest. We've got Alex from the Tucson Bitcoin podcast, and he's going to be joining us a little bit later, but right now, you know the deal. We're going to the numbers. Let's do it. All right. At the time of this recording, the block height is 682,122. The Bitcoin price, 56,900. Chain rewrite days, 624. Total lightning capacity, 1,252.79. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 9.17. And sats per dollar, a little bit of a drop, which is good. 1,757.
Boring. Man, but hey, Phil, I just want to point this out because it's 21. We're 21 days from the previous all-time high. I know I talked about that yesterday, but 21 Bitcoin, 21.
And we did have a little bit of a fake pump, so.
I feel like we've had 20 of those so far.
I know. We've had tons of them. It means nothing. You go up to 58K, knock at the door, 58K slams the door, we go back downstairs.
Dude, the Labrahodl tweets, the Labrahodl memes with the guy celebrating back to 58K. He's like, ugh.
Yeah, it's like, all right, whatever.
Man,
back
and
flat.
Dude, and then Bitcoin Twitter has just been consuming itself in the process.
Brutal. It's absolutely brutal. And it's kind of funny, right? Because I'm also seeing these, so now all of a sudden, right? So of course, some of these shitcoiners, it's like they grow some courage because their bags are worth a little bit more. So they're coming over and now they're willing to, they're willing to step into the waters and talk to the Bitcoiners and start trying to give them shit. And it's just so funny to see them getting wrecked every single time. There's these two guys, this one compound guy and some ETH guy that are sitting there just with Spine 8 on this thread. I don't know if I got his name right. Spinny 8. I don't know. The great memer. Anyways, it's pretty funny.
Dude, oh
it's
my
going
God.
nowhere.
Man, but winning. They're not winning and they're going to get wrecked like it always happens, right? But anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The daily fail. We went with a goodie and an oldie, but it seems to come back, right? It's just, it's like herpes, and like luggage, you just have them forever. And Bitcoin has become the MySpace of crypto. All right. So there's so many ways to dismantle this absolute garbage, right? So first of all, there is no fucking crypto. I know that that you want to pretend that there's this whole thing called crypto, but there really isn't, okay? There's Bitcoin and there's shitcoins, and that's really what they are. And I know that we've said this 1,000 times, but it's just so sad that these people come back and they think they're, they're coming up with some great argument that's just going to stop everyone. It's like, oh my gosh, he's right. We're MySpace. All right, we're locking up, closing down. We're done. He figured us out. We're MySpace. This is exactly what you get from people who don't understand Bitcoin. You don't understand that it is the base layer of all of this stuff, okay? That is not MySpace. MySpace isn't the base layer of the internet, okay? TCP/IP is. Anyways.
Phil, very well said. Awesome fail, like always. But yeah, man, look, I'm going to have a talk with Jack Dorsey at Bitcoin 2021 because it's unacceptable. That guy deserves a blue check mark. What the hell's going on, right?
Didn't have one?
Yeah, no, it's weird, but it's so funny because if you look under, the plebs just ripped him a new one. Someone said 2017 called the narratives are back. That's absolutely hilarious. But yeah, man, it's just shitcoin's gonna shitcoin and they're gonna get wrecked. Once this cycle, inevitably comes, coming back down to earth, the shitcoins are the ones getting wrecked. And of course, if you just bought and hold Bitcoin, had patience. But of course, everyone wants to get rich overnight. Anyways, Alex.
Yeah, that was a pretty amazing failure. I like how you described it. Bitcoin is the base layer, like TCP/IP, and that's a great way to understand it. And where we're going, everything's going to be priced in Bitcoin. Even the fiat currencies and assets like real estate and stuff like that. So I think that's where people's mindsets need to be. But they're so stuck in this. I need to get more dollars. And it's not very helpful for where we're going.
Absolutely, because it's like It's like, I need to get more of the money that they just print unlimited of. Like, let me just sell like this thing that's only 21 million will ever exist. But let me just get some more Monopoly money. It's just, people got to wake up. But cheaper sats for us. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Meme Review.
All right, everybody. The meme for today is brought to us by a fellow plebe, Tony.Hodl. You can go follow him at stacking_sats_. Anyways, let's check out the meme. How virtue signaling makes you feel like you make a difference with Eric Altas. And for anyone who doesn't know who this guy is, here's his tweet, right? This is the fool that's, screaming at the sky saying that Bitcoin's boiling the oceans. I just thought it was an amazing meme. It made me laugh. And Eric's going to have fun staying poor. But for that meme, Phil, I'm going to give it these black aviator sunglasses. What about you?
Solid score. Yeah, I can't. That guy's takes are terrible. They're just so awful, and they're always just completely like just so not based on reality. It's like they've constructed this bubble that they live in, and it's just completely insane, the type of stuff that they come up with just to justify this ridiculous narrative that they have. And I need to understand why is it that we absolutely need to have, like, you saw like his bottom comment, right? That because, that we essentially, okay, we can't have a money that goes up in value, okay, because we have, what is this? An economy based on endless growth will inevitably fail on a finite planet. What's he even talking about? This is what what? Don't get me wrong. We do it now with a horrible base layer. Anyways, all right, my score. I'm sorry. It's just like, that's one of those things. That could have been part of the fail.
Go at it, Phil. Go at it.
3D printing handbook. That's what this thing's getting.
Awesome. Awesome score. I prepared today because I knew Phil was going to step it up. But anyways, Alex, what would you give that meme?
Yeah, I love that meme. I've been seeing a lot of the fake What Bitcoin Did thumbnails like that, and I think they're great. The first one I saw got me pretty bad because I thought it was a real episode, and I got really excited to go listen to it. But I'm gonna give it a 45 caliber bullet because that meme is gold, and these things are so hard to find. They're so rare and valuable right now.
You can never go wrong with 45 ACP. I love the scores. Aviator sunglasses. Phil, I forget. What'd you give it? Oh, a 3D printed handbook. That's right. And a 45 ACP. Awesome, awesome scores. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily News, sponsored by
Crypto Cloaks.
All right, everybody. The news for today, a Taproot update. We're going to keep updating you on this until we know what's going to happen. But anyways, look, more bullish. Look at all these green blocks. Remember the first day we reported on this, Phil? It was so depressing. It was all red. But now, it's turning more green. That's awesome. But let's check out the mining pools, right? Ant pool, F2 pool, pool in.
Still at 54.75%.
Yeah. So, it's getting up there. But look, if you just look at the green squares, it's looking good. Anyways, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, it's still the same though. Like that's, not that I'm upset because we're still up huge from when it started, but yeah, not really seeing a difference, but looking forward to seeing what's happening. Maybe there's some discussions going on, maybe people are having the right conversations. We'll see.
It's moving in the right direction.
Yeah,
Alex,
it's moving in the right direction.
Alex, your thoughts on the Taproot update?
Yeah, it's really interesting to watch the mining pools and what they're doing. And I think we all have to remember how shitty BTC.com is in this case. And like some people just have no incentive to do what's good for Bitcoin. So yeah.
Dude, it's crazy. And you know what? We have to appreciate it because it's all happening in a decentralized manner. Mm-hmm. But anyways, Phil, it looks like we were right at Simply Bitcoin again. What you were saying yesterday about how New York is going to have fun staying poor and how they're going to ban Bitcoin mining, and then you're going to see all these other states, right, just going to pick up, you know, the opportunity. You already see this from Mayor Scott Conger come to Jackson, Tennessee, right? Of course, retweeting the actual legislation. And this legislation is even possible because of the idiot that we just covered on the Daily Meme Review. Right, he's tweeting this thing based on nonsense. How Bitcoin's going to ban the ocean. Legislators see this and they're like, "That's right," and they just ban Bitcoin, man. They're going to miss an opportunity. But it isn't only Mayor Scott Conger; it's also the mayor of Miami, right? Calling them out directly. This is another step by New York in the wrong direction. City of Miami could mine Bitcoin with clean nuclear energy. Like, dude, it's like, look. It's going to be very simple. The cities, we keep repeating it. We're going to keep repeating it. The cities that adopt Bitcoin, that are favorable to Bitcoin businesses, are going to flourish, and the cities that don't are going to have fun staying poor. And look, it's not only mayors; it's also the governor of Texas. Man, he's retweeting it. You could surmise what he means by this just by reading the article, right? It's like, New York, come on. Wake the hell up. You know, it's like you're only hurting your citizens. This is like, I don't understand. Phil?
Yeah, these people are fools. You know, like at the end of the day, they're just totally shooting themselves in the foot, and they're going to look back at this as like one of the biggest mistakes they ever made, and how they made themselves completely irrelevant. Okay? So go ahead, you know, sit there and push this business, that, you know, desperately needed business away, and give it to other people that really want it.
Man,
you know, go ahead.
Hey,
State of New York's gonna have fun staying poor.
Absolutely, man. So wrecked. And with the bit license, it's like they hate Bitcoin. I have no idea why.
They hate Bitcoiners. They hate Bitcoin. It's just, you know, they're not. Again, it totally kills me that people don't actually do, you know, the research that's required. And the other piece of it is this, right? Like, we shouldn't really be proud that our whole society is consumeristic, and this is exactly the only thing that we're based on, right? Our ability to consume. Like, as human beings, we should have much higher aspirations than consuming a bunch of crap. So, you know what? Like, if Bitcoin incentivizes us to be more low time preference, okay, so we end up desiring higher quality items that are longer lasting, and maybe that ends up also kind of, you know, contributing to the world's overall benefit, right? There's that aspect of it too.
Absolutely, because it's like you think twice. You're absolutely right, Phil. It's like you think twice about before buying something, because you're like, that's gonna really hurt in a couple years. Do I really need this thing? You know, and then when it comes to fiat, you're exactly right. It's like you have to spend it. It's losing value.
The other last piece I wanted to say is that from what I've seen, all they really do, okay, is raise taxes. Okay, so we are going to sit there and we're going to financially strangle ourselves to, quote unquote, save the planet. Okay, and so how long has this research really been going on, right? Like, how old is this data that we're sitting here and believing? And I know, of course, like, you can have all these people pull out all this crap, and fine, all right, like, you know, I'm not an energy activist or an environmental activist, but I'm just saying that all I've ever seen is taxes go up for environmental reasons. I don't see how that's actually going to fix the environment.
It's almost as if they needed an excuse to take more money out of your pocket.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like the government would ever do something like that.
No.
Alex, what are your thoughts on New York staying poor?
Well, Arizona is on the track to staying poor too, you know, especially Tucson. I'm lucky enough to have like a really good community out here with the Bitcoin meetups. And I was recently talking with Will Reeves, who's the CEO of Fold, and just did a video with him and put it up why governments need Bitcoin. But outside of like the mining, they need to put it on their balance sheets, because if you go and you look at the pensions, they are so criminally underfunded. Like our Arizona pensions are at like 50% funding right now, you know, and they do this thing where they just make these extremely irresponsible promises, you know, and they don't fund them, and they just think like, oh, I'll only be in office for like 4 years, you know. And they have the way the incentives work is it's not about doing what's good for people. It's about what's good for themselves. And like, I reached out to my local city manager and was like, what are you guys doing about inflation? Inflation's real. It's here. Everything's going to get a lot more expensive. Like, what are you guys going to do? And they were just silent. Like, they have no plan to deal with what's going on right now. And it's so easy to fix this. They would just put 1% Bitcoin on their balance sheet and just let it sit, and it would turn into a massive portion of it. And they wouldn't have to raise taxes, and they wouldn't have to do all these destructive things. And then they would start making policies that are friendly to Bitcoin. And then you would have really really vibrant local economy, and people would start using it, and they would be a lot better off. But that's not where the incentives lie, and that's why we're in the place we're in.
Absolutely, man. It's a scam. It's absolutely a scam. But check this out, Phil. Check out the headline for today. Man, I see this kind of as a victory, but also be cautious. Check this out. Bitcoin is coming to hundreds of banks this year, says crypto custody firm NY Dig. Let's check out the article. For the first time, customers of some U.S. banks will soon be able to buy, hold, and sell Bitcoin through existing accounts. New York-based asset manager Stone Ridge has partnered with fintech giant Fidelity National Information Services to enable U.S. banks to offer Bitcoin in the coming months. Suncrest, a California-based community bank with 7 branches, to quote what they said, "What we're doing is making it simple for everyday Americans and corporations to be able to buy through their existing bank relationship." Sell says, "If I'm using my mobile application to do all of my banking, now I have the ability to buy, sell, and hold Bitcoin." Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would they do this? Well, if they're constantly seeing massive withdrawals heading towards Coinbase and heading towards, Swan, or heading towards other exchanges, right? Remember what I told you about the incentives? They don't have a choice but to also offer it. Now, the reason I said I was skeptical at first, Phil, very simple. Are they going to offer withdrawals? Because if they don't offer withdrawals, man, what's the point? What's the point? It's the same garbage. It's the same garbage. You're leaving it in the hands of somebody else, right? So that's the only thing I'm hesitant about. We saw this already with PayPal. We see this already with Robinhood. You're buying paper Bitcoin. You're not buying real Bitcoin. So I hope, and all of us here as Bitcoin educators, as Bitcoin content creators, it's our job to educate people, to tell them, listen, get the fuck out. It's like everything happened because these guys have a concentration of wealth, a concentration of money. They're holding people's money. This is why we're in the mess that we're in right now. This is why they're, touting out negative interest rates. It's what you said yesterday, Phil. They ran out of tricks, right? So if you're going to buy Bitcoin and hold it on your bank's app, you're fucking crazy. What else do I have to say? I don't have anything else to say. It's just, anyways, Phil.
Yeah, I mean, look, banks are custodians, right? Like, this is what they do, So I will be very surprised if they are allowing withdrawals. But then again, it says buy and sell. So we'll see. We'll have to see. But I really, banks haven't impressed me much. So I'll be pleasantly surprised if they do something. If they do something that actually offers value, but I have yet to see that.
Man, it's funny because that they didn't do this out of the kindness of their heart. They do this with biting their tongue.
They are dying. They are dying for the fees. They're literally lighting money on fire.
Yeah, man. It's man. Anyways, this is gonna be interesting to cover. Alex, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I really hope they actually don't allow withdrawals. And the reason why is because people are seeing what's so problematic with these custody services, like with what happened with Robinhood and the whole GameStop debacle. And people are really losing trust for these third-party services. And the entire ethos of Bitcoin is getting around and not having to use third-party intermediaries. And I think that's a really bullish thing, is when these banks continue to prove how predatory they are, how little interest they have in actually serving people's needs. And Bitcoin, it's just like the same exact thing as like whenever a government bans Bitcoin, it makes the network stronger. It it has this adverse effect of like when they try and control it, it just shows how little power they have in this space. So I'd be excited if they didn't. And yeah, but as educators, we have to get out there. Like one of the first things you do after you buy Bitcoin is you learn how to self-custody it. And that's so incredibly important.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. I didn't look at it that way. I think it would be good for people to burn their fingers a little bit to understand the importance of self-custody, right? That's kind of a good point. I mean, because that's the only way people really learn, right? Because, people are just going to go with the ease of use, and these banks are going to make it so easy. They're just, It's a little tab on the app. It's like, buy Bitcoin. You're like, oh my God, I own Bitcoin now, but you don't, you own paper Bitcoin. But anyways, let's see what happens. It's going to definitely be interesting. But Phil, there was a software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. So we've got Nick's Bitcoin version 0.0.45 that was released, and that is down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys. But before we go, I want to give a shout out to our guest. Go follow him at Tuscan_Bitcoin. He has this awesome Tucson. Oh my God. See, Nico can't read. Episode 500. But yeah, Tucson. You can follow him. Let me try that again. At Tucson_Bitcoin. There we go. He has this awesome podcast by the same name, Tucson Bitcoin Podcast. Super awesome. A fellow plebe, fellow homie, fellow Bitcoiner. Definitely give him a follow. But you guys know what to do. If you enjoyed the show, smash that like button. And of course, if you want to continue hearing the news from the Bitcoin perspective and the catastrophic shitcoin and fiat fails, definitely consider subscribing. And we will see you tomorrow for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.